Have you ever met a man, maybe online, maybe briefly, and even though you don't really know him that well, you can't stop thinking about him? Not because of deep conversations, not because of an emotional connection, but because of the life you imagine having with him. Maybe it's where he lives, his routine, his discipline, the way he carries himself. And suddenly, you're not just thinking about him, you're picturing a version of your life that feels really appealing. And if you've ever found yourself in that place where you're replaying in your mind, trying to figure out if you ended things too quickly, this video is going to give you language for what's actually happening. Because this isn't just attraction. I actually had this happen to me recently. I matched with someone online and I was immediately drawn to him. Not because I knew him well. We hadn't even spoken that much, but because of his lifestyle, where he lived, the kind of neighborhood he was in, how disciplined he seemed, how structured his life was. And I could feel my mind starting to go there, seeing my life and how it would be with him in it. But at the same time, there were things he said that made it clear. He worked a lot. His lifestyle was very set, and there might not be much room in his life for a relationship. And I remember feeling that tension internally. Part of me was really drawn in, but there was another part of me that was already trying to figure out, could this actually work? And I caught myself, because that moment right there is where a lot of women get pulled out of alignment. So I want to slow this down and really unpack what's happening here. What's happening in that moment is that you're not just responding to a man, you're responding to what he represents. You're seeing pieces of his life, and your mind starts filling in the rest. You're seeing it in your mind, your day-to-day, your environment, how you might feel inside that life. And it can feel incredibly real, somewhat like you've already stepped into it. But here's the truth. You don't actually know him yet. You know what he's shown you, what you've seen, and what you have imagined. And those three things can blend together very quickly. So what feels like an attraction is often a mix of attraction, imagination, and projection. Now let's talk about why this happens, because this is where it connects directly to how you feel internally. If you're someone who is capable, responsible, high functioning, but really underneath that, you often feel like you're always on. There's a low level tension in your system, a sense that you're holding a lot internally, what I call bracing. When your body is in that state, it starts looking for something that feels like stability. When your body is in that state, it starts looking for something that feels like stability, structure, certainty, relief. So when you meet someone who actually appears to have a very structured, very disciplined, very, elevated life, your system reads that as, this could be better than how I feel right now. And it attaches, not slowly, but quickly, before there's even a real connection. So now we need to separate something clearly. There's a difference between attraction and projection. Attraction is curiosity. Attraction is connection, how you feel with him. Projection is filling in the missing pieces, attaching to what he represents, or seeing a future with him too quickly. And the tricky part is, projection can feel just like attraction. That's why it's so easy to confuse the two. And once projection takes over, your focus shifts. Instead of asking, is this man right for me? You start to ask, could this work? How could I make this work? And that shift is everything, because now you are adjusting. Now you are accommodating, trying to fit into his life. And for a lot of women, this feels very familiar. You're capable of making things work, but just because you can doesn't mean that it is aligned. And really underneath all that effort, there is sometimes a return to bracing. So let's bring this back to something grounded. His lifestyle might be real, but your experience inside that lifestyle is still greatly unknown. If he works a lot, has limited time or availability, lives in a very structured way, that doesn't change because there is an attraction. So the real question becomes, how would I actually feel in this relationship? Would I feel settled, chosen, at ease? Or would you feel like you're waiting, fitting into what's available, and feeling like you're adjusting? So instead of asking, how do I make this work? Ask yourself, do I feel steady imagining myself in this dynamic? Because bracing feels like proving, negotiating yourself, adjusting, whereas steadiness feels like being met, feeling settled, not having to earn your place. And your body will tell the truth much faster than your thoughts will. And one last thing I want to leave you with. If what you're really drawn to is the lifestyle, that's something that you can begin moving toward yourself. You don't have to access it through a relationship. Because when you start to build that life, you stop being attracted to someone because they have it. And you start choosing someone based on whether they can meet you inside it. If you're starting to notice this in yourself, that moment where your mind runs way ahead and your body feels pulled, I created a simple reset to help you come back into yourself before you make decisions from that place. You can find it in the description.